No, I've never touched this game.
Yeah, my number 10 favorite game of all time is, fun fact, one of the first games I ever owned, and I think the first game I ever owned on Game Boy, which is, of course, Mega Man Battle Network 2, an offshoot of the OG Mega Man series that premiered at NES, and an even further offshoot of Mega Man X on the Super Nintendo and beyond. So really quickly, Mega Man has he's kind of like Link and Zelda, where they have a bunch of different versions of themselves, and there's a theory that, every Legend of Zelda game is a different Link and Zelda, but they're I don't know, what is it? Their souls are the same, but they're basically reincarnated each time into the same timeline, and just Link is the hero of time and Zelda is, the princess or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's timelines and stuff, but they're obviously all very different. Yeah, unless they're direct sequels, but that doesn't happen very often.
Not super often. In Mega Man, though, it happened all the fucking time. And with a different Mega Man series, they are considered completely different people. It's not Link and Zelda, but instead, for example, original Mega Man, he's just called Mega Man. But then in Mega Man X, that Mega Man is called X. So in Mega Man Battle Network, I forget what Mega Man's name in this one is. Mega Man.exe. So in this timeline, you have a kid who lives in a world where there's our world and then there's the internet. And on the internet, all avatars for people who log into the internet are essentially different Mega Man robots. So in the net nav is the device that you use to access the internet. You have your avatar, who is a different person and has a different... You can communicate with them as a different, thing, but they just represent you. I'm explaining this very poorly. But it's a very cool game, and it's a very unique spin on the Mega Man lore, where instead of fighting robots who are terrorizing humanity, you're fighting essentially computer viruses with your own computer program, who is a Mega Man robot. And unlike previous Mega Man titles, which were side-scroller shooters, this Mega Man game is kind of like a top-down RPG, where it's what do they call it? Tactical RPG, where you're moving pieces around a board, but at the same time, it's kind of like a regular RPG, like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, where you have random encounters. But when you go into this random encounter, you can move around and you can fire the B button to shoot. You collect cards that give you different power-ups that you can use on the field, and it makes boss battles feel very intense, and the progression of the game is super rewarding and fun because you unlock more cards from bosses that you've beaten, so you can essentially use them as summons, like in Final Fantasy. And spoiler alert, disclaimer, I have never beat Mega Man Battle Network 2, because as a kid, I got super stuck, I think, in a section where you're in the woods, and so there's not a whole lot of internet. So you, the main character, you get word that some awful shit is happening online, but you're away at camp, so you can't just log into a computer, and you have to find some source of electricity to plug your net nav into. And it's such a niche game. I acknowledge that. I know half the people that watch this aren't even going to know what Mega Man Battle Network is. They made 5 of those fuckers, and the 5th one they split into 2 games like Pokemon, where in one game, I think the villain was a different guy, and the second game, it was the same story, but it was a different, villain.
Oh, so it's like a Zelda Oracle of Seasons and Ages.
Yeah, bringing it back to Zelda. That's a callback.
It's all connected.
It's all...
Connected online, like the Battle Network.
Like the Battle Network. See, you get it.
That's right.
Indoctrinating this guy. So, for me, yeah, obviously, it holds a special place in my heart because it's one of the first games I ever truly owned. I played the shit out of it, even if I couldn't beat it. And much like a lot of the games on my list of favorite games of all time, much like the John Mayer album, tried to split my list into 3 sections where my top 5 games are games that are genuinely good and also games that I enjoy and / reminisce about when I was a kid. The middle 5 are games that could be better, but in my head, I remember being really, really good. And then the last 5 games, which we've already talked about, and you can go back in the older episodes and find them, are games that I really enjoyed as a kid, but I acknowledge that there are better versions / better sequels that are out now. So for me, Mega Man Battle Network 2, as much as I want to say that it's a really great game, I'm sure the sequels improved upon the many mechanics that this game introduced and introduced even more mechanics on top of that. But for me, for a little 6-year-old Nick with his silver, it was red at first, and then I lost it in the backyard, and then I had a silver Game Boy Advance. On my little silver Game Boy Advance playing Battle Network 2, little Mega Man action. Yeah, you're not wrong, buddy. You're not wrong to like that game, even if people don't know what it is, and you sound like a crazy person when you describe it on a podcast later in the future.